All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome to another edition to Chaos Rain channel. I'd like to thank everybody that's following and watching tonight's stream or listening to. As I give people a few minutes to get comfortable and join the stream. Please always, as you come into the building, please like the stream as you step into the door. While you in watching the stream, you could also leave your comments at the end of every video done, your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions to how the video made you feel, or in general, other things. You can leave your comments at the end of every video. Also, if you're not subscribed to Chaos Stream channel, what you waiting for? Hit that bell. While hitting the bell, there are 3 types of notifications. Depending which notification you select while selecting and subscribing to Chaos Rain will determine how often you will get a notification that I'm live or upload I put on my channel. So pick wisely while you are subscribing to the channel. Also, you can follow me, and let me write this down now. You can follow me on Twitter, and it's titled Chaos or at Chaos Rain 7. That's my Twitter. You could leave your comments and any ideas you could post, I believe, on my Twitter. I also have some videos up there as well. So, follow me on Twitter. What else? And also have my Cash App right here as well. If you want to support the channel, that'd be good too. All right. I'm just trying to. So, what is stores for today's stream? Well, as y'all know, I did a video a few months back called Jerking Off. The very first of many, sexual takes of, promiscuous or actually involuntary, coming release of men and women when it comes to this so-called, I'd call it a sick fetish that a lot of people engage in this world we live today. And I understand why they do it. This is a Western culture thing, not a regular thing. Every culture does different and acts differently when it comes to regular sex, and not this crazy fetish of sex or not getting any sex that they do on a regular basis. So we adopt certain customs, Greco-Roman, Eurocentric type cultures when it comes to self-release. But tonight I'm gonna take a little different direction. As you know, this is Jerking Off Volume 2. So, and I like all my people that's the moderators, please, share. And also, please share my support link too, if you can, so people know. So Ms. 79, if you can, so lovely do. As I'm going in this station, can you share the the link of the support channel? Can you do that to me? Can you do that for me, Miss Colleen Jean 79? Okay. And as I check my other links, and I'm gonna probably make this screen a little bigger so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. Tonight I'm gonna go in many directions to this conversation. As y'all know, there's no stranger when we hear about the issues with the community or any community when it comes to what we call sex. And I've noticed when I listen to other streams in regards to what the males could do in regards to if they're not getting some, what should they do? Should they get the blue balls or all this, nonsense? or that it's gonna be like pure virgins or whatever you want to call it nowadays in this twisted culture we're in. The only thing I would say to most dudes that, if you are of age, and they said that most males get to the peak in prime at 16 and 36. Um, I'm not sure what they talking about prime because last time I checked out on these streets, some of these men that's beyond 36 are still having intercourse with women and still producing children, even as high as up to their 60s and 70s. So I'm not sure what person would put that out about sexual peak because if we're really keeping it 100 about sexual peak, then that seems to me that most males, if they say this is the highest a male's going to get at between 16 years of age to 35 or 36, that's a period of, if my math is right, 20 years. 20 years. That's not a lot. That's a generation. And you know how much children most males, if they're having procreating with and creating children at age 16 to 36, that can be a lot. But as we notice lately, the birth rate of certain communities, especially when we talk about Black people, it's been going down a little bit. Most people are not getting married at 30 on the average, and some are waiting way later to have children. So we can't go by whatever data about male sexual peak because I don't focus too much on that. Even with the women that we all know, that's I think Miss Jane, I think you're about to touch 40 anytime now, unless you already at that age already. That as women get older, their peak of sexuality increases, it heightens. So a man supposed to only his peak is up to the to mid 30s. What should a woman do as she's now settling down, getting her highest peak? Is she going to still engage in sexual activity with her love mate that might be the same age or older than her? Or are she going to entertain a young buck to get that release? These are questions that's never been asked. I don't ask these questions, but I pose the questions now for clarity. I would say that, for most males that are at that sexual peak where they just want to hump and bust a nut and anything that moves. And not only that, but if you think about it, this also explains why a lot of them, if they're having sex, at that age, and if they didn't really knock up any woman that's either the same age as them or a little older, because I'm now hearing stories that these women that are older than these males that they take up and having casual sex are now getting pregnant by males that are younger than them. And that's just a no-no. You know, it's very much a no-no. But it goes back when you're desperate. If you're a certain age as a woman and you sitting there entertaining younger dudes and getting knocked up, that's telling on you. It's very telling. I would look at that at a side eye. But these are phenomena that when we hear about it, comes around once in a blue moon. But I don't think it's the norm yet. So on to the males. Blue balls. What can you do about blue balls? Well, my dude, only two answers I could give to you. ADU, ADU, buy that bottle of lotion and work that hand to magic and release. Or you go find a nice, sexy thing and you try to get into the bed with her. As one of two things. And usually option two, depending if you are what they call quote unquote a select dude or not, especially if it's a non-select dude, this option and this window will not be good for you if you had to put in some work just to coerce a woman that's either a few years younger than you or older than you to get into the bed where she's busted wide open for you. So this might not work for those dudes that are not the select ones that don't get a lot of pussy on the side. You might have to turn to that bottom, my dude. That bottom might have to be your best friend. And I'm sorry to say, and you don't want to hear this, but I'm telling you the truth, you might have to go to that bottom one at a time. Say, God damn, it's one of them nights again. Hey, it's either that or you get the blue balls. I heard, other content creators say that most dudes should expel that energy by working out and doing some work and all stuff. And it sounds good and dandy. Yeah, I get that. But usually when you have to bust that nut off, you're gonna do anything possible to get that nut off. And most dudes, when they hear that, either they have self control and really truly in this society, especially when it comes to us as people, we are not trained to know how to use our body function properly. We don't have real control. We're not taught how to use our sex organs properly. So right there, telling people about you should use your frame and all that stuff, that's bullshit because 9 tenths out of the time, we don't prepare you for nothing. Hell, we don't prepare the males for the future. We let them go through life, having them, and we put them in institutions. And as they get to a certain age, we might just, if you're a male boy that's a young adult and you've been, let's say, raised by a mother or father, or especially if you're raised by one parent, most likely the options for you is usually your mother, depending who she is, she might be just kick you out the house for a reason. Or she might, try to do the best she can on the average, which you don't see because you can see the state of most communities. These boys are still lost and not prepared. They'll just try to put you and try to, coerce you into certain institutions and hope that you'll be fine. So it goes back again as a male, you're on your own, you know? You don't know about sex. Some people say they teach sex in school, but if any person think they're gonna leave the destiny of your boys and girls, especially boys, to figure life out, you are setting them up for failure. This is what happens. And trust me, school system does teach sex now. Ironically, they teach. Hold on. Yeah, I will open up for a brief minute. I'll do that. Um, they teach sex now, but I'm telling all parents and most parents that got kids now, whether it's two parents or one, the sex your children are being taught is something that you will not approve of. Do you hear me? And the reason why they will not approve of this is because they're teaching homosexual behavior type sex to your boys and girls. And they learn it by the time they hit 6 years old. One time sex education was supposed to be taught as the children hit teenage age, like around, I think, 13, 14 years old, maybe. Might be wrong. Anybody can correct me, please do. I'll be reading the chat room. But that was the age and the normal age to teach sex or sex education because they know that young adults that become teenagers are going to reach a point where they have the ability to procreate and create other light beings or human beings with the help of their sexual organs. So they teach them about where babies come from. Hell, they might even teach about, safe sex, use of condoms, maybe, possibly. But overall, they do teach it. But now, because we're in the generation of the 21st century, it's a little different now. What the way they teach sex now is they're teaching these type of behaviors. And trust me, any child that's a teenager now, you have children now that's teenagers now, they're teaching your sons and your daughters, especially your son and daughters, how to engage in anal sex, how to engage in masturbation, Hell, they even teaching the girls toys. They doing all this. And if people think I'm lying, prove me wrong. You better prove me wrong. You better show me some receipts. And usually the comment section at the end of this video will be there and people could sit there, show some receipts on this. But I'm telling you, they teach this because they're now trying to persuade and teach degenerate behavior when it comes to the sex or the sexual behavior if your children are not exposed or been molested before they hit the age of 13 of sex already. They're trying to teach and encourage your children it's okay to engage not only in promiscuous sex, but also engage in all perverse type sex behaviors. If the boys never much even figure out how to jerk off on their own while they're a teenager, they're gonna learn very younger, much sooner with this school system. And mind you, if a boy starting to learn to jerk off now before he hits 13 years old, imagine what will happen to him as he gets older. His sexual performance. And people must understand, and I'm just laying some game out right now. The more you do it, the more you're gonna last longer in bed as a male. So the more you work that shit, my dudes, especially you have it, if you come too quick, you're that 1 minute man. And you know what's funny? They stopped talking about 1 minute, 2 minute man. Have you ever noticed that? For the last 10 years now, maybe a little longer, they stopped talking about that. I wonder why. Mm. I wonder if these people are engaged in behaviors that's making them last longer in bed. You tell me? We all know back in the 90s, and you know the famous songs with Miss said, "Dun, dun, dun, I don't want no 1 minute man. You know that song? How did I know about these 1 minute men? And they've been singing about back in the 90s. Because usually, on the average, if you didn't know how to lay down in the bedroom, depending if you're 20 years old or a late teenager back in the day, you used to come very quickly. All the woman had to back it up on you and lay that big ass on you, and you would have just shoot up the club in seconds. You'd be like a shotgun. Boosh! You get me? A shotgun. And I did talk about, when shooting up the club gone wrong. Go back to my previous videos. I have that one of the biggest watch video up to all times on my channel. But like I said, when that woman lay and then she back. Let me tell you something. I remember Mr. Macon said this best that the people that are nerds and they wanted to have regular sex with women, especially the big booty Brenda or Keisha. He tell and warned most of the dudes said, you don't want that. You don't want that because if she puts that thing on you, it's gonna mess up your mind. It's gonna mess up your meds. It ain't gonna make you be able to perform, to create these inventions, do these magical things. Because once she up there and drop it like it's hot and bust it wide open for you non-select Negroes, you will go insane. Hell, if she does even good and great, you might commit suicide for all we know. That's the honest truth. This is the sad truth. So I kind of agree with my brother at the time that, certain people should not be getting that good, especially if you never got some, because you don't know what to do with it. You're not going to handle it. I don't give a crap how many times you take your hand as a tool and it's busting up by yourself. Man, the right woman sit there and lay it on you, it's a wrap. If you're not getting no coochie, it's a wrap. But for most of the dudes that does it constantly and do it too much, yeah, it will help you in the bedroom a little bit. You'll last so longer. But like I said, you go mess around with the wrong fox, and she sit there and ride you like a pony. God damn, it's a wrap for you, my dude. It's a wrap. Now the regular dudes that get sex and regular, it doesn't really move much because it's pussy. They get next pussy. But for you dudes that don't get pussy on regular, on a regular, you don't want that. Listen, Chaos is telling you, personally, you don't want that. Stay away from that. Don't do it. You know, I would tell you, get a simple girl that might give you some pussy inside. If you build a relationship and you're good, stay with that, stick with that. You know what I'm saying? And my advice, go as far as marry her, but don't play around with the wrong type of females because they know if you do that shit and you fuck her, she's gonna fuck you so good. And she know because she know say, yo, you look like a little P9 dude. You know you get pussy. Let me just I think I can control you. She gonna use the pussy as a weapon towards you. And I'm telling you right now, be careful. Be very careful. I know most dudes out here don't get sex on regular. You don't want that. She do that, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. So you hear a lot of these dudes that complain about they're not getting some. It makes one if these sisters or any woman just give them some. I will say no doubt that they will shut the fuck up. They will shut the hell up so much that you see them do more videos and talking about how women are so wonderful and beautiful. You can tell when a dude is getting some real good nookie is how his express himself, how he shows love and affection. Hell, he might do some secret videos and play some sweet ass music, which might get his channel flag in love of the woman that gave him some coochie. That's how that junk goes. That's how it is. So, like I said before, to those dudes that don't get a lot, I say start slow. If you're a man that's constantly using your hand and wherever lubrication on yourself on a daily basis, I'm telling you, and I'm only gonna tell you this again because it's volume two. Please stop it. You should be a constant thing where you just sit there jerking off all over the place to yourself. You know what I'm saying? You gotta invest your energy a little bit more wisely. If you're getting the blue balls, okay, maybe if that will help, and which it will, do that. Don't sit there and get your balls all blued up. Fuck what everybody always say, go work or drain energy off. No, that energy gotta be come out. It has to be released after a while. Especially if you're not in a relationship. And this is another thing. We kind of advocate enough for relationship. Men and women should be more seeking to build relationships with each other. And it should not be too lengthy. It should be to a point where, if you're a man and the woman you're dealing with is you're kicking is good and you have no problems, you should take it a step further. Depending what age you're at, especially when you're 20s, mid-20s, you should be eventually start settling down. Depending where you're at. Because 9 tenths time, most dudes that is doing their thing, they're being productive. So obviously you are bringing something to it because you're being productive, which production equals bringing in some form of income, whether great or small. And last time I checked, a lot of these brothers that do go to school or in trades, they are making some decent money. And it might not be like the rich money, but they're making some good money. It would make no sense why you would sit there, waste your 20s and going on your 30s and possibly 40s, not thinking of settling down. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your life. You know what I'm saying? You should be settling down eventually with a woman that you feel you could trust, marry her eventually, and have children with her, and start creating what we call a family. That should be your. It should be in your psychology and mind as you wind down in your mid-20s. And I'm not saying early. I would say the timetable mid-20s. I don't advocate too much of this 30 thing because on the average, if you're not ready at 20 something, you're not gonna get ready at all. I know some people that's in their 30s still don't want to settle down. They still want to fuck around. So as you get your priorities straight and you're not really have no baggage and you're a reasonable dude, you should be thinking of leaving some form of legacy. And usually the sooner the better. Don't wait too long. Because other racial counterparts are not doing that. We, as the people, are doing this. And we're being very comfortable doing this. All right. Now, for the women. I notice that a lot of women say they like to use the toys. And they don't use only toy, they use very sophisticated toys to get their rocks off. It's no different from the males, to be honest with you, ladies. I mean, y'all probably want much one and the same because you're not producing anything out of the so-called fuck. You're sitting there just constantly busting water flows out your vagina and nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for out. It's like an oasis where you see the river just flow between your legs. It's like a nice little water fountain where you need to take a nice cool drink. That's what we're witnessing when you constantly use those toys and just bust a nut. And ladies, if you didn't know, the more you do that, you are actually making yourself more weaker and stupid mentally. Because wherever goes from the top crown chakra of your head is also connected to your yoni, your vagina. So you're releasing all that fluid from the top down. And not to mention, you are damaging your sensitivity for you to be connected to a man sexually, especially the amount of utensils you're using to push up in your vagina. You're using electric toys like the vibrators, a bunch of varieties of the vibrators, and the vibrators. After a while, you keep using it, you're going to overstimulate your vagina. Now, someone going to get mad at me and I say, "No, yeah, you don't know what you don't got a pussy. You know what you talk about? How I'm overstimulated." I know, baby. Relax, relax. Shh, shh, shh. I understand. Night times you get lonely, and because you don't have no mate in your house, so you gotta revert to that toy. Listen, I know one woman got so addicted to a toy that she didn't want to be in a relationship. One time when her birthday was up, she she told all her friends, especially some that were male, said, "All right, this is the last time I'm playing with this toy. I'm gonna throw this away." And he's saying, "What do you mean you gonna throw away the toy?" He said, "Yo, listen, this is a mash up my life. It's killing my life. It's messing with my regular relationship life and my sex life. I can't function properly without this. So I gotta throw it away." So the man said, "All right, you gonna throw it? Give it to me, and I'll throw it away for you." Oh shit. So, like anything, she gave him the toy. And as he about to throw away, she sit there, hold the man's arms, and say, "No, don't throw away." See that? Why she was refraining from the man to throw away the toy? Simple, because she is addicted to the stimuli of that vibrator. It stimulates her vagina so well that she cannot function properly in life because of that vibrator. And you know of a few friends, ladies, that has those escapades where she gets so sexually frustrated, she'll not only take on men, but other people. And when she resorts to that toy, like it's something, like she's something proud of, it's telling. It's very telling. No human being, man or woman, should be comfortable using toys as a replacement for a mate. You hear this song by music artists, especially I think it was dancer artists, where it said she need a boyfriend, not a toy friend. That toy is their best friend. It makes them go to sleep at night. It makes them feel happy when they go out to work and they have to constantly turn it on and see the vibration. And then have that smile on their face. And when it comes time for a mate, she gets the issues where she don't come properly, even to the point where she don't feel sexually satisfied. But she doesn't know why. I'll tell you why. It's because that fucking toy stimulate, overstimulate your damn vagina. That's why. But you can't tell most women this, especially the sisters, the black women is because at nights they gonna have to sleep home comfortably, lonely, with the pillow over their head and hug their toys, hug their bear. It's a lonely light. It's very lonely at times, but that is the thing that they chose to deal with on a nightly basis. And I don't knock them, but we had to be honest here of the reality that if you're not really searching for a mate or a mate searching for you, so they could take you more than just a plaything or a fuck, it would be better. And I rarely know any friends, even the ones that I know on social media, Twitter, all these other outlets that don't have a toy in their home. You know what I'm saying? It's like the Bible. You gotta have it. You get me? In your household. Put tuck underneath or put in your drawer. You can't function without it. And as Western culture pushes, degenerate behavior. And you gotta understand the toys of dildo itself. Even the first creation of it was designed back in I think Roman I think maybe 500 years ago, maybe 600. I can't remember when, but it was a long time since the toy, and really was designed by men, particularly European men. And why European men created toys for women, especially for his own women, because by default in his subconscious mind, he cannot satisfy his own woman. As you could tell, the size of his phallus, even back then and probably now, he's not going to knock on nothing. So he had designed a toy for women to play around with so that she can easily get off or actually come to her senses with a release. So he designed it for her so he didn't have to do too much of the work in regards to making satisfy his own woman. And as a couple hundred years later, you see most of us as people, especially women, because they've been around Caucasoid women for a good long time. And I think this came around back in the late 80s, maybe 90s, early 90s, maybe, even with toys. But a lot of sisters back then were not even using sex toys, if you think about it. It only came around during either around the 80s or early 90s, to be honest with you. And if you think about it, during a time, black people were not even in porn until the late 70s, going on to like the black exploitations, and some of them appear in certain pornograph. But remember, the porn business didn't really start really take off until certain laws were passed in this country back in 68 going 69. And during that same time, the LGBTQ was born in 69. So once they start saying we're going to regulate certain to have like porn be put on where people could purchase and watch porn in America like that, LGBT came around that same year. Imagine that. And mind you, porn, even in its incessance that came around in the late 1800s, was just, something that people could get a chance to watch, but is not known for people to go, or it's not really popular at that time. Watching two people fuck. It's not a traditional thing. But it became one after the 60s. And usually it started really show its presence in Europe, because Europe, I forget which part of Europe, kind of put rules in place where it's okay now to have it. But usually back in those type of countries, it was forbidden much. It was not really legalized or able to shown to not only children but adults. So they did that for political reasons, because they know to have the world be more in chaos, you got over sexualize the population of people. Because when people constantly ingest sex, indulge in sex, seeing it, watching it in person, they don't really focus on anything else. So that's why they put certain bills and laws to grant and give authority to have these things and put in front of people now. Because they know what happens to society when you over sexualize society. As you can see from this community today, that we are very much over sexualized. Hell, some of us can't even function or do what we're supposed to do unless we get some sex. Imagine that. Imagine that. But they push this, you know. So, like I said before, for most women that that uses the toys, um, you're gonna do what you think. You're gonna do your thing at the end of the day because you're not gonna take in what I said. But I'm telling you right now, stop it, stop it, stop it right now. Yeah, you're gonna have to do something else. You might have to start. And mind you, I said this before. People think that they're celibate because they're not having physical sex with another person. That's a lie. As long as you're still, as a man, playing with your dick and busting by yourself, you're engaged in some form of release. Because it's not the physical sex with another person, you're still exposing that fluid, that sexual energy fluid out of you. And this also applies to you women. Every minute you have those you know, toys in you and you're constantly releasing yourself, you're engaged in some form of sexual activity to yourself, actually. So, I don't really go by when people tell me say they don't engage in sex for months or years. It's a bullshit. We live in the real world. You're engaged in some type of perverse behavior, whether you want to be honest or not. And you can't fool me. Can't fool me at all. Because, lot of females today are full of shit when they, when they talk about that they've been celibate. I said, okay, really, okay, that's nice. And I just tell them that just to let them hear, but I know they're bullshitting. In this society, especially if you're not a virgin, then obviously that might make sense. But we don't see a lot of people, especially black people, boys and girls. Oh, and let me tell you, I think there are some men that have been virgins up to the age of 50, which I did not know exists. And make the 40-year-old virgin look like he ain't doing nothing at all. I'm just telling you. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. But we have these people out here that are somewhat they never actually have physical sex with the opposite sex. And and it goes the same way with most people that engage in homosexual sex with the same sex. You're having sex with the same person. You're not exchanging nothing. You're actually exchanging the fluids that don't are not compatible to your bodily function. If you notice that, you as a man, you cannot sit there and constantly have what we call sexual exchange with another man and think you're calling it sex. Now that is actually masturbation, but you're not masturbating by yourself. You're masturbating with another male or the same sex, and there's no exchange of energies. You got to understand this. The seminal fluid, the cum, is not a fluid that you just take lightly. That is a very much a powerful fluid that it has to flow into the opposite sex for that exchange of energy to go into. A man exchanging the same fluid energy with another man, whether anally or through his mouth, that fluid energy does not go nowhere. It does not exchange energy. It becomes a viral. It becomes poison to the same sex man. They don't tell you this. They don't talk about this. They don't. You know why the medical field don't talk about it? I'll tell you why I don't talk about it. Because they know in society is really target to really neutralize and eliminate those people that they don't want seem that they don't deem desirable or they don't want around to compete. Yeah, Europeans have engaged in homosexuality for centuries, even back in Greco-Roman times, where the Roman um, emperor himself during at that time, or the president, or the king of himself, had to put laws to force the Roman soldiers or Roman men of that land to engage in sex with the opposite sex because they know that if they continue on this destructive path, they're going to die off and lose their population. So to prevent that, they had to the government had to step in and put laws in place to protect the safety of the city and their communities of people. I always say this, and I'm gonna say this again. What government intervention, especially in the West, will step in and protect and save the black people, especially black males, if they're engaged in fruitless homosexual behaviors and sex with other men? And there's no such thing as a bisexual black man. So get that out the way right now. No one. No one. And the reason why they won't, because you're doing what they intended for you to do. They want you to destroy yourself. Not only systematically, but commit your own suicide with self. Same thing with the women. If you're a woman and you're engaged in lesbian behavior for whatever reason, same destruction. I know a few women that I've heard of. Well, they didn't really explain why she died, but I've know already because when I found out she was, lesbian, let's say a couple months later or a year later, she transitioned of unknown causes. They didn't even tell why, but I knew why. And y'all know why? What a lot of people that die prematurely for say conversation, either a celebrity or someone that was, engaged in that behavior. You see how far they lived. So there's no exception rule. And with ladies, same thing with your vagina. Your fluids too is supposed to have that exchange with the male, especially the male phallus, most likely. And if you're a woman that's doing the same thing like the males, that's having the same sex, penetrating and rubbing clits together with each other, or drinking or eating your own, another woman's fluid, same viral effect, you know. But like I said, they don't talk about these things because a good portion of our community, I would say more than half, are engaged in some form of homosexual behavior, whether they want to like it or not or admit it. There are some women that entertain males that want to engage in, anal activities with them, and they have no problem with it, you know, and don't even question it, which I find very funny. So, the sexual practice or sexual demons that we're engaging is killing us as well. Either a lot of people want to admit it or not, that's what's going on. You know. What else I want to say? Um, and another thing with this thing with jerking off, volume two, and this is only a second volume, and maybe it might reach a volume three down the line. I don't know. The one thing is evident. I like to say, and one thing I want people to have an understanding about all this, that sex can be fun. Yes, I love it. I know I love it. I know other people love it, but it has to be done somewhat responsibly and respectfully. The problem with the communities out here today, when they're engaged in, they're doing it with no knowledge of really the repercussions or the outcomes, what will happen in regards to this exchange of, you know, union between man and woman when it comes to sex. They just feel to say, I'm just here just to get a nut. The man's thinking of bust a nut, and the female's thinking of bust a nut too. And don't understand with this behavior and this proactive act is produced out of all this, which a lot of people get in their feelings, especially the males. They get in their feelings so hardly that they cry me a river because they say, "Oh, I don't want to sit there pay to raise this baby. I don't want nothing to do with this child. Can you please terminate this child?" And some women today, because the laws a little bit more in their favor, and let's say the laws roll back and say, listen, we're gonna do this. We're gonna reverse certain things. Like now, there's no fault divorce. There is no sense of abortion. What we do now, you males, especially you black ones, what are you gonna do? Because now it's saying, especially if she might not be able to terminate so easy. She might not be able to give you that coochie. Hell, she might even put and take so much chemicals in her body and use either the what do you call it, the Depo-Vera or whatever material needed so that way she don't have kids. You see, it's funny how when we talk about sex, we don't talk about the outcome of it. And I find it very odd because you cannot have one without the other. This is what it does. That's what it's the byproduct of this act. Sometimes you might exchange energies and you might not conceive, but that's very much less likely, very highly likely that will happen. And the reason why I say this, simple. It is a procreative act. We can't escape that. But without knowledge of how to utilize it to our benefit instead of always worrying about what we produce with this gene is the determining factor. And I think our communities have not really come to the decision how we're going to really address this. Some people say, the dudes should try to protect himself more and wear a condom. Yeah, that's good. That sounds good. But most of these dudes not wearing condoms, like that. Especially some of them that don't get none. They get some people ass, they're gonna go in it raw, feel it, all the walls, and just enjoy the inners of a woman. And then the result of that, some of them will just sit there and just forget they end up the pussy and they just sleep in it. A few people that said the jump was so good I had to sleep in it, you know. Some dudes forget how to pull out. And really, I don't really advocate too much now with a lot of these dudes about pulling out because most of the Negroes nowadays, depending if you don't come easily like that, you come or unless you premature ejaculate, yeah, you might have to start wearing condoms and stay wearing condoms because usually the time you're gonna be busting that seed in that woman. And likewise, spouses don't know. Well, let me take it back. Most women don't know their own bodies and their own cycles, so they don't know when they're at that time where they could conceive. And it goes back to learning the knowledge of their bodies, especially women. Women should always take the opportunity, and they're not going to take no those birth controls or those Depo-Beras, which can be detrimental to the body, you know, in the long run. Even some of them at the times you take those things, they can make you infertile or what's the word? I'm trying to remember. Sterile for more than 2 years. Those things you take, they will make you sterile for 2 years. And also Depo-Bera might be long. I think it's 3 years at most. So usually if you're taking those chemicals in your body, whether it's gonna put weight on you or make your cycle odd, go way off, what will happen to you as a woman, let's say you get off it, you're not gonna conceive easily. You're not if you it's gonna be hard for you to conceive for until like after 2 years at most. I know a few women that was on it for years and then eventually they stopped because they want to have a kid and can't have it like that because they had to wait 2 years. Maybe a extra year, like maybe three, depending on the use they have or which one they took. It does make you sterile after a while. So I think most ladies, if they're not knowing that, I think I told them now, so they have a better understanding. And usually, ladies, you should really research a lot of things you put in your body anyway, because it does tell you in the fine print you will be sterile for years. And if it doesn't tell you that, don't use it. All forms of birth control pills are things that you or anything you take on your body to prevent pregnancy will sterilize you. You know. And for the fellas, if you don't like wearing condoms and you have an issue busting nut, or you have no, let me say, if you don't like wearing condoms and you're them dudes that prematurely ejaculates on the man, then my advice to you, you go out to refrain from sex for a while until you get control of that. And usually it goes back to again jerking off by your best friend for now. You gotta control that. You have to learn to control it. Most men don't grasp that or master that. They say just go into uncharted territory and just shoot up the club. Especially if you're concerned about taking care of a baby, which every man is responsible to make sure your child comes out good. Your child should not come and starve, or you leave it to your baby mama or whoever to sit there just fending for the child herself. That's just foolishness. That's not manly. That's not masculine. It's fuckery. And you're gonna pay for that, dudes. I know countless dudes are crying and bitching about the little child support they had to give now, depending on what state you are. And all that could have been regulated if you think a little bit more thoroughly if you should enter in without the Jimmy or not. You should always keep in mind, say, if you can't really pay the cost to manage that baby, then you may not tread into waters and just let it rip. So I will say, I advocate most dudes, if you're very weak in that area, you better be wearing condoms. You better carry 20 condoms with you. You carry one in your car, you put one in your wallet, you put one in your jar. Hell, you put one in your medicine cabinet, you put one underneath your sofa, you put one underneath your books, you put it underneath your video game system, on your cassettes, anywhere where there's a storage, you put those little bad boys in every department. You need to do this because, like I said, if you're concerned about taking care of the child and paying up, and you feel that woman's going to turn on you, which most women, on the average, if you're dealing with those type of women that rather feel that it's a come up with a check, like a child support check, than anything else, than dealing with you, then you gotta take that L, my dude. I'm sorry. It's the world we live in today. It's the world we live in today. Sorry to tell you that. Sad to say. So you gotta protect yourself, my dudes. Protect your seed. If you don't want no children. But I'm hoping that as you get mature and you want to sit down, then shoot out the club as much as shoot away. And the woman that you picked that will have a kid will probably do right with you, and you do right on her. That's what I'm hoping and praying. So now I'm gonna probably drop this link. And if anybody wants to cuss me out or have any opposition to what's discussed, the link's there now. And I thank Miss Colleen Jean 79. I think she should share the Cash App again, but I respect that he's sharing the link now. Reposting the chat room. And as I scroll up, I gotta refresh this because this is not working. Okay. Okay, now it's there now. So, and this was brought back to popular demand because I find some people were taking to this message. They were liking it. They were liking the message to say. Some find it. The last one I did, the video I did was health, and I think Sermon did comment at the end of the first video I did on this, and I think they learned something. And I try to do the best I can on topics for certain content that's either discussed or not really been talked about, and bring my own 2 cents to the discussion. Um, and like I said, I don't really know it all. I could have came up here and put out some articles of the consequence of, masturbation of women, but women know that they could probably research that themselves. They can Google that and find the advantage, disadvantage of, masturbating with the toys or themselves. And same thing with dudes, they could research, the pros and cons of masturbation or actually jerking off themselves. This information is out here. It's nothing really hidden. It's nothing new. They put it out here for y'all to look into it. Same thing with homosexuality. The the pros and cons of it. And I think what people don't utilize properly with the internet, they're not making use of this information at all. They're not making use of it at all. They're taking this information for face value and making it like, or I should say not making nothing at all with the information. They're just sitting there indulging it. They're just sitting there sucking it in and not making use of it. They're not utilizing it. And it goes back to the upload titled Information Porn. Check out that video. I dropped my own scenario of this thing about information. I looked at it as another form of pornographic masturbation. People indulge in all forms of information, whether it deals with economics, science, Egyptology, finance, I think technology and law. And they don't make use, they don't apply it at all. They just sit there, suck up information and just regurgitate it, even to the point where they just want to absorb more information and they don't release it. They just keep it in. And anytime that, let's say, they release, they're back at it again, not making use of the energy. It just dissipates. That's my views and call it the way it is, as another form of pornographic. Because in porn, you see a lot of people, they watch it and they play with themselves and constantly explode or come through the stimuli of watching others engage in their pleasures with each other. And you're not getting that exchange, you're just wasting it. So check out the upload of information porn. I think I said my thing on that point, and it's different. It's a little different. So okay, I guess I have nobody that wants to come up. And let me double check. I think one dude is saying, I think Moses Wallace want to come up. I guess he's not there now. So I'm probably gonna drop more link and I'll call it a day. Good. As I wait, let me see if I can find this. Hold on, people. All right. All right. I guess people are just listening. So I guess I can conclude today's session. Hope you take this information to heart. If you have any thoughts and opinions to what was said on this particular subject, please leave a comment at the end of the video. Please comment, subscribe, and like to the video. And I mean like, literally, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And comment Always comment. Feedback's very important. Every stream has some way there. It should be a comment because we just don't sit there just take the information. We don't want to be chronic masturbators to the information. We want to sit there express what we find good or bad. You know, and that's pretty much it. I like thank everybody for listening to this stream. And like, hold on. Okay. And like always, let the chaos reign.